Hi students, this is Miss Wilhite, your instructor here at Blinn College. Today we're going to look at managing your files for our Excel class. You will have mastered this material when you understand the differences between Windows 7 and Windows 8, when you're able to plan the organization of files and folders, when you're able to use File Explorer to view and manage libraries, folders, and files, when you're able to open and save files, when you're able to create folders, when you're able to copy and move files and folders, and when you're able to compress and extract files. Here's our textbook. The first chapter is not part of the Excel training, it's Windows training. So this is called Lesson 1 and the rest is called Tutorial 1 through Tutorial 8. It's a little tricky to teach different versions of Windows. Some of you have Macs, some of you have different operating systems of Macs, some of you have Windows 7, some have Windows 8, some have just gotten laptops with Windows 8 and are learning from Windows 7, and some of you have already upgraded to Windows 10. However, the book provides this information, which I will give to you, and then I'll give you some links for dealing with Windows 10, which I do not yet have. I have Windows 8 and Windows 7. Windows 8 was the first Windows operating system that allowed you to use a touchscreen interface for Windows. And so that's why it's so very different from anything that came before. We've had XP, Vista, 7, different versions of 7. But Windows 8 was revolutionary in that it allowed the touch interface that you have with your tablet. So we see here the different, we see here an image of a Windows 7 desktop. We see that in Windows 7 you use Windows Explorer to navigate the contents of your computer. You have a Windows Explorer toolbar providing buttons for completing tasks. Windows Explorer includes a navigation pane which displays icons and links to resources and locations on your computer over here on the left. By default, Windows Explorer includes the details pane at the bottom of the window. Of course, this can be changed, but that if you have the default set, it displays the properties of the selected object. Windows provides libraries under the word library, so you can organize files by category. Documents, music, pictures, and video is the standard. And you use arrow buttons in the address bar to navigate to other locations on your computer. So if we are here in the tutorial and we want to get back to find something over here, we can either click computer here or we can click computer here. The file path is a notation that indicates a file's location on your computer. This is called your file path, and it's a system of setting folders within folders. I'll show you that in a moment. You use the Change Your View button to change the size of the icons in the window. Right here, we have this button goes largely ignored, and it's really handy for changing the way that you view your materials. And we use the search box to search for files in the current folder. A thumbnail image previews the file contents for certain types of files if you have your view set in a certain way and if you have organized set in a certain way. The zipped folder icon indicates a compressed folder. This little zipper on it means it's a compressed folder, and it stores files so they take up less disk space. Over here, we see the View tab on the ribbon. Contains options for specifying how the information displays in File Explorer, like I just said, and the Quick Access toolbar here at the top contains buttons for viewing properties and creating a folder. You can actually click this little down arrow here and add things to it. The first thing I do when I get a computer is I add a little icon that says that looks like a page with a magnifying glass on it, and that's the Preview and Print button. I like that. Windows provides libraries. Well, what are they telling us again? Okay, arrow buttons, know that. File path, okay. File Explorer includes a ribbon with tools organized on tabs for working with files and folders, okay. We saw that. The file name is the name you give to a file when you save it to identify it, and I'm not sure if, I'll check, but if they don't show you how to do it, I'm going to show you how you can see file extensions. That's really important when you're looking at things to know if you're looking at PowerPoints, Adobe PDFs, or Word documents, or HTML documents, or style sheets, things like that. And the default is to not see them. A file icon indicates the file type, And let's see. Down here we have the large icons view button on the status bar or in the layout group on the view tab. Either way, to switch to large icons view, which I don't like icons, I like words. Here we have a table that compares Windows 7 and Windows 8. I suggest you just pause this and read them instead of me reading them to you. Again, pause and read. So Windows 8 touch and mouse interactions. So to display a screen tip, text that identifies the name or purpose of the button, you touch and hold or press an object such as a button. With a mouse you point to an object such as a button. So go ahead and read these. So this is what's really important to know when you're working in Office, when you're working with Microsoft Office, when you're working with files and folders. Let's get started with that. A file or a document is a collection of data that has a name and is stored on a computer. Disks contain folders that hold documents or files. We have USB drives, we have DVDs, and we have hard disks, which we don't see, but those are on our computer, and that's where this information is stored on our computer. Each drive is assigned a letter, and sometimes it seems very random. But the computer is like a file cabinet. So you have disks that contain folders, and folders contain files. And here we have a drawer. It's like a disk. So we have a different label for each drawer showing this is C, D, and F, and it's just as if that's your C drive, your D drive, and your F drive. And you have folders that you create, unless you're using the default library folders, in which you place your files so that you can find them. The root directory on Windows is usually drive C, the hard disk, and folders stored within other folders are called subfolders. Those other folders are all on that hard drive unless you've inserted a DVD or CD-ROM or flash drive. So this is how it looks when you're organizing folders. Here's your computer, here's your hard disk, and here's your removable disk. And so we have our Windows folder, we have applications, and we have a user folder. And Windows sorts it out so that you have to sign into your computer, identify yourself, and within that you have your documents, and then you name your file folders, and within your file folders you put files that you've named. You can have multiple users on a computer, so you could have user Aaron, user Mike, user Tommy, and each would have their own folders. You can have security set up so that you can each only see your own user files. One person has to be the administrator. That's the person who can get into all of them and who sets up these privacies. But this is just your laptop. We're not talking about a big fancy network. So here we're viewing files in File Explorer, and we can either go, let's say we're in this professional writing folder. See, here's the name of it at the top. Here's the path. If I want to go up one, I can either click in this direction, which is up, or I can click the up arrow, or I can click over here, professional writing, and then up to my documents. See, my documents is up in each case. When you open Windows Explorer, it shows the contents of the Windows built-in libraries by default. And they display similar types of files together, such as documents or pictures. And so when you create a video, if it doesn't go to that video folder automatically, then that's because the application you're using to create it has its own folder set up. And so that's where it's being saved. So that's how you try to find things. I told you about the file path. It's a notation that indicates the file's location on your computer. So this logo .png is an image file. PNG tells us it's an image file. Logo is the name of it. It's in your marketing folder, in your Savvy Traveler folder, on your F drive, which is probably your flash drive, that you stuck into your computer. So if we want to get to the FM folder on our flash drive, we would pop it in, and we would come over here on the left, and we would find the removable disk F and click on it, and then it would expand. There would be a plus over here, it would expand, and this would open up, and then you'd see FM. And we see also up here that that's the folder we're in. Here's the folder we're in, here's the folder we're in. So it shows us in 3 places. We can change the view in File Explorer. Here's the View tab, and we can come over here to expand the ribbon button. I showed you all this before. In this case, our view is different. We're seeing the list view. We're seeing the detail view. All right, so this is the detail view, and the reason it's called that is because it has the name of the file, the date modified, the type, and the size. The list view only has the name of the file. Now, you probably are used to double-clicking on a file to open it, but you can actually select which program opens your files by right-clicking on that file name. And then you have this pop up, and you can choose Open With, and you can choose a program to open it with. You can actually change the default program on the computer right here by saying, I always want to open with WordPad. Not that you would, but you could. When we save, we use the Control-S shortcut to save time, but we also can click the File tab at the top and then click Save As to open the Save dialog box. We click in the file name box, type the file name, and then click the Save button. Down here we have choices to saving as a different type than the default that's trying to be saved by the program. This Save As type, we could click this down arrow and we would see all sorts of choices about how we could save it. I'm going to show you how to view file extensions now. In this, we see the details view of our files, but we don't see what kind of files they are. We have icons over here, and a lot of us know what those icons mean, but a lot of us don't. We also have the types over here, but I prefer to see the file extensions. If you're in my web design class, then you need to see the file extensions to know if it's the difference between an HTML file or an HTML file. So this is very critical. To see file extensions, go to, in Windows 7, Organize, Folder and Search Options, View, and then deselect the Hide extensions for known file types. Click OK, and now we can see the file types, the file extensions. Here again are those instructions. Here it is without the file extensions, and then we saw what it looked like with it. To create a folder, click the Home tab up here. In the New group, click the New Folder button, type the folder name, and then press the Enter key. This is what it looks like until you've finished typing it and pressed Enter. You can move a file by dragging it when you have just a few files. I don't recommend it if you have a lot of files because it's easy to drag it to the wrong place and not be able to find it again. You can point to the file in the right pane and then press and hold the mouse button and drag it to the new folder, then release the mouse button. So you would drag it, for instance, over here or over here. You can also right-click on the file or a folder and then click Cut on the shortcut menu. I didn't see it there because I'm looking at an image. Cut on the shortcut menu and right-click on the destination file and then click Paste on the shortcut menu. That's a more efficient, I like that way of doing it better. You're less likely to drag it to the wrong folder. You can also click on it, Control X to cut it. You can go to the right folder and Control V to paste it. And when I say Control X or Control V, I mean you hold down the Control key and then you, while holding it down, you tap the letter. Or we can move it using the Move button. Click the file name on the Home tab in the Organize group, click the Move To button, and click Choose Location to open the Move Items dialog box. Click the destination folder and then click the Move button. I prefer Control X, Control V. It's much faster. So when you want to select multiple files or folder, you can hold down the first one in the list and press the Shift key and hold the last one in the list and click it and then release the Shift key. Or you can, and that's to do all of them in a row. Let me show you instead of this. Let's say I want to move this file and, oh, I don't know, this file and this file. Guess how I did that? I held down the Control key, I selected each one, let go of the control key, I hold down control again, I click X. You see how those faded? Then I can go to another folder and I can put them in there. Control V, and there they appear. Control Z, because I made a drastic mistake and I want to undo it, I click back to go to where I was before, and there are those documents again. To select multiple documents in a row instead of just in various places, I can click the first one, hold down the Shift key, go to the last one. I can go Control X. I can go in there, Control V. Oh, but wait, I messed up. Wrong folder. I can just Control Z. They're gone again. Back to my original folder. They're still there. Now, if you Control Z only works. I'm just pointing my finger at the monitor right now, as if you could see me. Control Z only works for your last keystroke. Sometimes, depending on your version of your operating system, but older systems, it's only going to work for your last keystroke. So be very careful with that. Don't take advantage or expect Control Z to work when you've done several things since you made your mistake. You can use the shortcut menu to delete or rename a file or folder by right-clicking on it and then selecting Delete on the shortcut menu. You can rename it by right-clicking on it and selecting Rename. Here are valuable keyboard shortcuts for you that I've been talking about and using. Control A is to select all, Control C is to copy, Control X is to cut, Control V is to paste, Control Z is to undo, and Control S is to save. Last thing is working with compressed files. You compress a file or folder so that it occupies less space on the disk. If you're sending email with an attachment, you need to compress large files to make them small enough to send and receive. Although sometimes you can't make them small enough, in which case you have to use a file sharing server such as Dropbox or Google Docs to share files. When you extract a file, you're taking that compressed folder and you're unzipping it. Every time you download a program from the web, you're downloading a zipped file because it's smaller, and then you're usually extracting the files by unzipping them. All the software that does this is built into Windows for the most part. So in this case, we have a zipped file and we want to extract it, so we click on the file, right-click, Send To, and then we choose where we want to send it. And that's all there is to that. So, but the key here is you make sure you understand where it's going. You'll get this pop-up, and if you just go extract, or enter to make it go, you might not know where you put it. So it's very crucial that you know exactly where you're putting things. That's all for this. Have a great day.